Hello and welcome to a new video. Today I'm riding the Honda Navi around. Oh, there's a plane going overhead right now. I'm going by Bowman Field. But the main attraction for today's ride is I have a new camera that I'm trying out. I have a Insta360 One RS 1-inch edition, so it's the 360 camera that has 1-inch sensors, because the way a 360 camera works is it has two lenses, one on the front and one on the back, and then it stitches those two images together and it gives you a 360-degree field of view. And then when you're in editing, you can pick a crop out of that that's 16 by 9, gives you the traditional aspect ratio that you'd expect, but you can get that from any angle all around you. And a lot of them have pretty small sensors, sensors that are comparable in size to what's in a lot of smartphones and your standard GoPro, but this is a much larger sensor, so it should do better in low light conditions. So I'm testing that out to see how it works, see what it looks like. And two, I think this is also the first video I've recorded with this new helmet. So this is a Ruroc Atlas 4.0, and it's the Batman edition. So they had some DC ones recently. This is the Batman, so from the recent Robert Pattinson, Matt Reeves version of Batman. So there's a bunch of different brands, and I know people, I looked up the reviews on the Ruroc Atlas 3.0s, and some of the older ones, people weren't as high on them. But it sounded like with the new versions, they had fixed a lot of the problems. I've enjoyed it quite a bit so far. It's pretty comfortable, and it's definitely a step up from using the helmets I was using before, which were the Ruroc snowboarding helmets that I had, that I use when I ride the e-bikes, or the mountain bike, dirt bike helmet that I have. This has been, more comfortable. It gets less road noise, it's less noisy at speed. Then up here, I guess I can go in and turn around. This is the Big Rock Park. It's part of Cherokee Park. spots where people come up and swim in the creek. This is busy. Well, I will not be staying here. But this is a place too where a lot of people swim in the creek. There's literally, it's called Big Rock. There's literally a big rock that you can climb up on. There's like a rope swing that is by there that goes out into the water. So people will go and, you know, jump off the rock or swing off the rope swing. I think the water comes from Beargrass Creek, which got a lot of runoff from the sewer system. So I don't know that I would personally want to swim in the water. I always just kind of refer to it as poo-poo water, because you get a lot of the runoff from the MSD sewer system. Now I know that MSD, the sewer system, had done a project to clean things up in recent years, but I don't know if that's improved the quality. But regardless, there are signs around the park that say to not swim and or fish in the creek, and every single day there's a bunch of people swimming in it. And a few years ago there was actually an instance where a young guy was shot and killed over there, was shot and then I think died later in the hospital. But it gets pretty wild over there. But yeah, I'm going around the outside of Cherokee Park. Just wanting to test and see what this camera looks like in these kind of mixed lighting conditions. This is pretty dark over here. I'm trying to think of what route to go on to record some video of something I haven't recorded 1,000 times already. I'll go through here. I'll cut back to Bardstown Road and I might ride through, oh, it's really bumpy over here, through Bellarmine University. That's not too far. Yeah, so the Navi now has 700 miles on it. It's pretty broken in at this point. I'm still enjoying it a lot. Having fun with it. And I do get, you know, I've had more than a couple of occasions I'm out riding this thing. Somebody will stop me and ask me what it is, or about the performance or the stats or what have you. So people are starting to be aware of what these bikes are. Kind of weaving through this road because it's and a lot of uneven parts. So now I'll be heading up to Bardstown Road. Yes, I'll be going up, I guess I'll just go up to Bellarmine University. So Bellarmine is a private school, private college. They recently moved to Division I in basketball. Because I know if you followed the NCAA, it was kind of a story that they won their conference tournament. I don't remember if they won their conference. I can't remember if it was a tournament or just the regular season, but they won and were not allowed to go to the NCAA tournament because you're not allowed to go to the tournament for a number of years after you join Division I. So none of people were upset about that. Go through this alley. Thank you. All right. Guess I decided to cut through at the time everybody's parking stuff. But yeah, I've still been on the search for the best setup when it comes to doing moto vlogging, in terms of what cameras to use. Because I have, the GoPros, so I have the GoPro Hero 10 and the Max, so I have their standard and their 360 cameras. So a lot of times the setup I'll use when I do the kind of multi-camera thing is I'll have the GoPro attached to a helmet, like the front of the helmet, and then I'll have the Max on top of my helmet or attached to the back of the seat, and get that view. This newer helmet, this Ruroc, the helmet mount that I use wouldn't really work with this. I mean, I can get a different mount. They sell ones that attach to the chin portion of the helmet. I'm not sure if I want to do that aesthetically. So I could just go back to using the chest mount where I'd have the camera mounted on my chest. And then I can attach the 360 camera to the back of the bike to get the 360 view, and then the sides are behind me. So I can always do that setup. But I just wasn't sure if I actually wanted to use that setup or not. So this will be Bellarmine, so I'll cut through here. It's summer, so I don't know that there's too many people here. It's not a tiny college, but it's also not a very large college. I think I'll ride around here because there's one area I think I can get a little bit of a decent view overlooking stuff. And depending on how long this takes, I might also cut over to the Louisville Zoo, because the zoo is pretty close. It's closed. I mean, I drove to the parking lot. Cut through the sidewalk. Yeah, the only thing I wish the Navi could do is I wish it was a little bit more of a dual sport with, you can take a little bit more, you know, off-road capability. Yeah, so we're going to be going over here in a minute, because this is overlooking Newburgh Road. Yeah, so I'll cut back around, but I mean, buying this bike, you know, it was a complete street bike. There is no, you know, beyond driving across a grass, you know, small bit of grass that's even ground and not wet. You know, this bike does not have any off-road prowess. There's no, like the Honda had the Trail 125 that does. Because when I bought this bike, because I had seen videos on the Honda Trail 125, you know, for a while, and I was looking and looked around a little bit and called people, and you know, those are pretty rare and hard to get. People, you know, buying them up immediately, and some of them not even having any come in on order anytime soon because they're in hot demand. So I wasn't able to find one of those, but when the Navi got announced and released, I actually was able to get one of those. So it's also quite a bit cheaper. It's like half the price. But that one has, you know, it's fuel injected versus carbureted. Has, you know, disc brakes versus drum. Has off-road capability, a little bit bigger motor, and it doesn't have a clutch, but it does have a gear shifter, so it's kind of like an automated clutch where you have to shift still. Which, I mean, that really didn't sell me either direction. I, you know, have ridden motorcycles before, so I'm fine with the shifter and clutch, but so I'll go up here, then I'll go over to the Louisville Zoo. So this is at the Bellarmine University. I'm not sure what part of campus this is. Alright, so now I'm going to go back this way. I'm going to exit out of the university and go down to Newburgh Road. And then from Newburgh Road, I'll be able to turn on Trevilian and then go past the Louisville Zoo, and I'll wrap the ride up. So we'll go over that way. It's a lot of sun. And this helmet you know, it's got the tinted visor, but I almost wish I had sunglasses on under this, but I got the anti-fog coating on this visor, but when I had some glasses on under it, they still kept fogging up, so Luckily, when it comes to eyeglasses, my prescription isn't very strong, so I don't really need it unless I need to read things at a distance. Just riding around, I don't really need to wear eyeglasses, but sunglasses would be nice sometimes. This is Newburgh Road. Had to sit through that forever. Yeah, but over on the left is the university, so they have, you know, athletic fields and on-campus housing and what have you. A lot of stuff over there. And then to the right, that is Joe Creason Park. So it's a park that has walking, cycling path that goes through it, in a field. Right up here by the Louisville Zoo. I know before when I posted videos where I use an angle like this, because I just have the 360 camera mounted on the handlebars, it may not, I didn't really look super closely at my phone to see how it, because with 360 you can frame it however you want it. It's just that since it has the two cameras, that it's combining the images from the front and back lens into a 360 degree view. Sometimes what ends up happening is the stitch line where it stitches the two cameras together will be very visible if something is close to it. So depending on how it gets stitched together, I may not be able to show like the speedometer and stuff on the bike's instrument panel, but when I reframe everything, I can see what it looks like. But so I'll just ride through in here to the zoo. The zoo closes at like 5 p.m., so it's not open, but I can drive by the front. I'm not sure what these people are doing. This is bumpy road, so I'll get to see how the stabilization looks. These people, can't they see that I'm just joyriding and I don't want to get held up? So that's an advantage of being on a bike. You can cut around people. Yeah, so over to the right, my right, there are some of the displays. I believe that's the giraffe habitat. Over there, the one that's about to pass in a second, that is the lion enclosure. So the one, there are these big rocks, that's where the lions are. And then, I'm not going to actually go all the way back here, but if you are walking or riding a bike, or you're interested in the parking lot, so if you turn, if you go to this area back here and you go right and you go straight, I guess I can ride up here and show you, there's a little path. There's this paved path that goes behind the zoo, and then it comes out over by Newburgh Road, if you follow all the way through. And it goes behind some neighborhoods, goes along a drainage ditch. So there is that path. I didn't realize that was back there for years, and then we were at the zoo one day and I saw somebody walking on it, and I checked out on Google Maps and the Trails app that I use and realized there's a trail back there. You can walk or jog or run or take a bicycle. So yeah, so this is riding through the parking lot of the Louisville Zoo. I mean, it's not open right now, but you get an idea what the parking lot looks like. Yeah, so I went by the Seneca Golf Course at the beginning of this video. Then I rode along the boundary of Cherokee Park, and then cut across Bardstown Road, went by Cherokee Park, Bellarmine University, and then this is the parking lot for the Louisville Zoo. It's not right up here. This was on the Honda Navi. I've got 706 miles. I was testing out the Insta360 One RS 1-inch 360 edition. See what that looks like. Yeah, so and if you're, this is the Rock Atlas 4.0 helmet, and again, all this stuff that I've ever shown or used, I bought it myself. I don't get stuff for free. I mean, if anybody's listening or watching and wants to send me stuff, go right ahead. But all this is just stuff that I researched and wanted to buy on my own volition. And if you're wondering how I get the audio for this, I have a DJI mic where they sell a kit that has 2 wireless mics and a receiver. It has a little charging case, kind of like the AirPods. And then the microphones themselves have built-in storage, so I just attach it to the helmet, use the built-in storage, put the little wind muff on it, and that way I have decent audio. Then I can sync up to the video when I'm editing. And I don't have to run a bunch of cables or run stuff through the helmet. It's just an easy clip-off thing that I can remove. Like this, just a little mic. But yeah, so that'll wrap up this video. Yeah, until next time.